What's going on, guys? I'm Darius, and if you're into bonsai like me and not into waiting 10 years or more to have a really cool tree or maybe spending a big grip of money, nothing wrong with that. But if you're not into that, to having a really cool tree, then you're going to want to check out this video, maybe even follow this channel, because in this video, I'm going to be breaking down one of my favorite techniques, the fusion technique, where you can use inexpensive material to create some really cool trees really quickly on a low budget. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so this is actually the starting material. We have the wireframe skeleton here that I created over the wood base. It's basically just a piece of cool gnarly wood that I dipped in concrete to make it more like a rock. We're going to do a root over stone and fusion at the same time. And then from here, there's a little base, and we're going to put this into the pot here. And the stalk itself is going to be the Chinese elm cuttings from last year. You can see they're nice little thin cuttings. They're nice and healthy. Grown out on the bottom, right? Lots of root growth here. So we're going to take these guys apart, wrap them around in a very natural way, cool looking way around this guy. So let's do it. Step number one, we're going to dump off the soil and expose some of these roots here. So now we're already to the fine roots. You can see that it's created some really fine rooting in this small medium. It's very fine, akadama, pumice, and perlite sort of mix, lava rock as well. You can see this is just one season. Maybe you can see those roots spiraling in here. So they're really growing in and all throughout here, these cuttings. Chinese elm is extremely robust and vigorous. It grows extremely well in most conditions here in Northern California. It is amazing. We also had some wire in here to hold these in place, so we're gonna get that out. It'll also give some more room in those holes to pull the roots through them without damaging. You know, we'll see. Some of them might have to be trimmed, but this will aid in doing that to as few as possible. A lot of healthy roots here, so we'll keep as many as we can because we're going to try to have it grow rapidly in this grow box after pond baskets for, you know, pond plants, but they do extremely well for bonsai growth pots. So if you want something to grow really quick, good root development with air pruning, that's really where the pond baskets come into great effect. So all the wires are out. Now it's kind of just time to pull off the band-aid, right? So we're going to try to make sure as many of these roots that can be fed back through their holes are available to do so. So just some loose combing. And then we're going to and then sometimes it's just not possible, right? You're going to have a really difficult time pulling some of those escape roots through, depending on how big the drainage holes were. These were just little drainage holes. So we'll see how many we can pull through. Lots of roots in here anyways, so I think it's going to be just fine, even if we don't get too many of those escape roots. All right. So there is our little forest pancake in just one season. That's a nice root ball. And now we're going to twist this guy around our stone. So we're going to start by trying to separate some of these guys, and it's not going to be easy. We're going to end up leaving this really thick guy out because he's going to do something else, and it's not going to go well in this composition. So we are going to trick out some of these guys. So let's start with the thicker, longer ones of those. Looks like these guys here. So this guy's right on the edge. We're going to work with him first. You want to be really gentle during this process, right? You can't just yank these things out. You might pull off a majority of the roots, right, and kill the whole seedling or sapling cutting here. So we're going to be as gentle as we can here. It's going to take some time, but it'll be worth it in the end. I like to finger tease because you can really feel the tension on the root, so you can feel which direction it's sort of giving in. It's much more sensitive even than a chopstick for some work like this. And again, given the fact that Chinese elm is so vigorous, it probably could survive me just cutting off the majority of this, but I'm not going to want to do that. I'm going to want to try to maintain this root because we're going to use it in the composition. So let's go ahead and fast forward. We're a little bit further into this. All right, so we're about halfway done. We got half of you guys broken up, and so you'll see as we are getting further through the root ball, it gets easier and easier to break these guys apart. Now you sort of can just gently tug them out of the root mass, one root at a time. Sometimes one or two get stuck in there, and you have to figure out which direction they're coming from. But way easier. You can see like this. It's almost like if you've ever had tangled hair. I have long hair, so I deal with this a lot. But you can see that's now way easier to get these guys out of the ball. You can really just sort of wiggle them out of there. So almost done. And you can see we barely lost any roots. We got them all detangled. We're going to prioritize them based on length and thickness now so we can have a uniform composition. Okay, so here you can see we got them prioritized based on length and sort of width, thickness, thinnest over here. We're going to want the ones that are around the same size, the longest, biggest, thickest pieces to start with first, because we want those all next to each other so it looks uniform as we wrap them around our base. Okay, so this is how we're going to do it. Very gentle with the roots. Get the rocks out of there. There's some lava rock trapped in there. We won't need that out of this root mass for now, though. And so we're going to try to follow the natural kind of curve of the tree to see where it's going to fit best in this piece. I think he's going to go right here. And then what we're going to do with these roots is something like this here. Again, we want to try to follow the whatever natural curvature of the thing, just to help it a little bit in its placement here. So, and then what we're also going to do after this is we're going to use this wiring here to hold these in place, as well as the root over stone. So you see it's going to kind of follow these contours, and we'll make it sort of fit in and throughout this in a natural way. But that's going to be piece number one right here. We're going to lock it in at the base, like so. Great. And then we have the other pieces where we're going to connect this along the body of this as we can, and be gentle to, not crack the branch, because this is a pretty steep curve right here. So we're going to want to be nice and slow and follow the curve. Sometimes if these cuttings are just the right age where we can bend them at some tight angles, but sometimes you wait too long and then these guys are not flexy, bendy anymore. But I think we have just enough age on this guy. Yeah, see, he's gonna bend nicely without cracking. We're gonna secure this guy right here. There we go. And then so now we're gonna proceed up, securing the next curve. And again, these young Chinese elm are quite flexible, but you want to make sure you bend them evenly and slow, because if you just curve very quickly at like a 90, it still might snap, even if it's flexible. There we go. All right, so that is the first piece attached, and now we're going to take the next longest guy and follow it along and secure through the same mechanisms. We're going to go right alongside that second guy, try to, double up on top of him. So start by releasing the base. And this guy's more curved this way, so we're going to it's going to have to be down here. I think so this one's a little bit too thick. I think it's going to snap if I try to push it too far. So I'm actually going to bring it around to the other side here, directly by his sibling, and then he will be literally right there with his sibling. So that way I have a bit more space to make the bend that we need to. And he will also go on the same side as his sibling. All right, so there's two. Okay, so what actually ended up happening at this point, my microphone died and I didn't realize it, so I'm doing a voiceover here. We also switched from the base. There was too much root structure to fit over that root over stone that I had started with, so we switched it to just a flat sort of pancake, regular Nabari over a sort of plastic disc, and then we went ahead and worked really specifically on, again, the alignment of each and every branch so that it looks very natural and even as it's going up around the skeleton. And now we're going to put it into the grow basket. So let's do it. You can see at this point it's in the basket. Nabari's looking really good. Everything's nice and even. And so now we're just going to go ahead and pour our mix of akadama, lava rock, pumice, over the top of it. So almost done here. Pouring the soil over, and then a nice watering after quickly so the roots don't dry out. See, so this is it after I cleaned it up a little bit more. All of the things are in alignment. There's a couple little gaps you can see, but those will all fill in the first season here. So hopefully you enjoyed that video and learned something along the way. Consider subscribing to this channel, liking this video, and if you have questions about your own fusion or other bonsai projects, comment below. I'm happy to reply and give you whatever information and help I can. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.